When asked by reporters about James Comey after the indictment, President Trump doubled down on his criticism, framing the charges as a matter of accountability rather than personal vendetta. Speaking outside the White House, Trump asserted, "It's about justice."
Are you worried now that the next time there's a Democratic president, they will indict your FBI director or people in your administration?
That's what they tried to do, right? They did it with me for 4 years. They went after me. They went after me for 4 years, and that doesn't include the 4 great years that we had in the White House. So when I ran it from, 2016 when we won, it began before I got to office. You know that. And wait a minute. Before I came to office, I started hearing rumors about Russia. I said, what the hell do I have to do with Russia? Nothing. And then it got worse and worse. And some of the fakers, not you, but some of the fake news picked it up and they loved it. And we went through a long time with that. And despite that, we had a great first term.
Because that's how it went, where they made you go and take a mugshot. Is this more about justice or is it about revenge?
It's about justice, really. It's not revenge. It's about. It's also about the fact that you can't let this go on. They are sick, radical left people, and they can't get away with it. And Comey was one of the people. He wasn't the biggest, but he's a dirty cop. He's always been a dirty cop. Everybody knew it. And it's, as far as the case is concerned, he gave an answer. It was a strong answer. He then verified it a couple of times because that was a very important answer. If he would have equivocated, if he would have been like a little bit less sure, that would have been very bad for him. So he gave an answer. The only problem is for him, he didn't think it'd be caught, and he got caught, Peter.
He lied a lot, firmly rejecting claims that the move was fueled by revenge. He maintained that the indictment was intended to uphold the law and ensure fairness, not to settle old political scores.
That sometimes to be justified. Now, this is about justice. He lied a lot, but this was a very important thing. He could have said, well, maybe, or I don't remember. He didn't say that. He gave a very specific answer, and then he verified it numerous times, and he got caught. The problem that Comey has is he got caught lying, and he was very strong. It's not like, well, maybe, or I don't remember, or he gave a very specific answer because it was a very powerful question, a very important question. And when he gave the answer, the only problem is he got caught. No.
In the wake of President Trump's indictment of former FBI Director James Comey and his personal attack on her during the announcement, Texas Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett delivered a fiery response on MSNBC. That quickly drew national attention. She denounced the indictment as a political stunt, accused Trump of weaponizing power to silence dissent.
Today, one of Donald Trump's most prominent critics from very early in his first term, James Comey, the former director of the FBI, a guy who refused to turn the Bureau into Trump's personal plaything, has now been indicted on 2 federal charges. The case was brought to a grand jury by our former Trump attorney that he handpicked to be a prosecutor just days ago and who has never prosecuted a case in her life. Joining me now, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Democrat of Texas, who serves on the Oversight Committee. Congresswoman, I know before you served in Congress, you were in the state legislature. Before that, you were a defense attorney practicing in Texas. As a defense attorney, this seems like a pretty good case to get.
Absolutely. This is an opportunity for someone to make a name for themselves because inevitably, if they are halfway competent, they should be able to win. They should push this thing to the limit. When you were just having your conversation about whether or not the defendant should then start pushing for, say, a speedy trial, which is something that is actually codified on the federal level, and it is actually very quick. Last time I checked, it's 60 days. So, yeah, I would absolutely push forward and say, let's go. And I think they're going to have a harder time trying to figure out who's going to actually prosecute the case than he will have trying to find somebody to defend the case.
We've seen just this week, I mean, we had the FCC threatens Jimmy Kimmel and threatens both the local affiliates and Disney to take him off air. Ultimately, he comes back. The president threatening George Soros today, Reid Hoffman, another individual who's a liberal software rich guy, saying, tossing out their names, signing an executive order, talking about criminal investigations of the funders of, left-wing domestic terrorists. He has been talking about you a lot. He seems sort of somewhat obsessed with you and likes to hurl a lot of insults your way. What do you make of the developments of this week in terms of this regime trying to criminalize dissent?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I want the American people to know that when you stand up to a bully, you win. Do not back down. Do not bend. You allow them to go and wage their threats. If everybody starts to bend, for sure what is left of our democracy will be gone. And unfortunately, that is exactly what he wants. And even more sadly is that many of his followers agree with this. And I am thinking to myself, how is it that you can call yourself American or patriotic when you literally don't understand who we are as Americans, when you literally are okay with throwing out the Constitution, when you're okay with someone just deciding, you know what, this is the end result that I'm seeking, and so just figure out how to get there versus doing what you are supposed to do. And I am so appalled at those that took an oath, at those that actually went to law school. Many of us ended up with law school debt. And then we have to take not only the bar exam, but we have an ethics exam that we have to take, because there is supposed to be some level of ethics in what we do when we go into a courtroom. Now you have people that literally either they just don't know the law or they just don't care. But the idea that you would go after someone, and listen, even as Democrats, we had our fair share of issues with James Comey, okay? But that's not a reason to prosecute someone. And so here's the deal. If he decides that he wants to continue down this path, I think that they're going to continue to lose. And I don't see the former FBI director saying that he is going to just go ahead and say enter into a plea deal, or he's just going to take this line down. I think that this is someone who absolutely will fight this to the end.
Jimmy Kimmel thing broke through in a way that maybe him going after, say, Lisa Cook, the Fed governor, didn't quite. Do you think this breaks through? Is this the kind of thing that people talk about on the grocery store line, in barbershops, et cetera? Be honest.
I don't know. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, I don't know. As someone who has traveled this country and talked to people on a very granular level, I think, and I love Jimmy Kimmel. I do. I've done his show twice. But him having the notoriety and the popularity that he had was very helpful, right? Yeah. I do think that there are those of us that are always in the weeds, that we look at what happened to Lisa Cook, who won as well, that we look at this situation as with James Comey. I think that there were those that, even when we talk about Colin Kaepernick, one of the things that I've been trying to make sure that people understand is that Colin Kaepernick, that was our first inkling that this was going to be someone that would use his governmental powers to go after free speech. But we kind of shrugged it off. Either you agreed with what he was talking about or you didn't, and you let it go. And that's not what speech is supposed to be about. It's not whether or not you agree. It's whether or not you are able to do it freely.
Indictment. Crockett blasted it as legally baseless and ethically troubling, criticizing those pursuing the case as either ignorant of the law or willfully disregarding it. While acknowledging Democrats' own frustrations with Comey in the past, she stressed that political disagreements are not grounds for prosecution. Crockett called the indictment a blatant political move that weakens the rule of law, urging citizens to stand firm in defense of democratic institutions.